Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Naki Aya. It's been a long time since I last made a video, and I don't have a script or anything prepared for what I want to say in this particular video, but I do want to speak in response to my last video. I know in my last video I posted about my psilocybin trip, and I actually got a lot of great positive feedback from that, which I was really happy and a little surprised by. It's always just a little, it feels a little vulnerable to put yourself out there like that and to share such an intimate and personal experience. But I feel like the feedback was really positive, and I did want to make like more of a follow-up video, just talking a little bit further about my experience and then the long-term effects after my trip and how it still continues to affect me today. So I'm working with a new camera and everything, so hopefully everything looks good. But basically, it's been about a year since I had that experience. I know it hasn't been as long as I posted the video because I waited a while before I recorded my experience and everything. But it's really been over a year since I had that trip, and I just wanted to come back and talk about how do I feel any different? Has it helped me in the long term? I know that when I was looking into information about psychedelics, I wanted to know the long-term benefits or the long-term effects that they had on each individual person. When I went into my trip, I was in a very difficult place. I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, a lot of hopelessness, I would say. I was feeling a little confused about which direction to go in my life and not really having a lot of confidence, and was just kind of stuck in a rut. And that's really why I did it, because I feel like I had exhausted every option that I had, and I didn't know what to do at that point. So I had read about it, read about psychedelics before. I listened to a lot of podcasts on Joe Rogan, and I had even met a couple of people who had taken trips before, and they all had wonderful things to say. I was having a really hard time. Normally in the past, I would meditate a lot or just kind of get really deep into spirituality, but I was having a hard time focusing. I was just really struggling a lot. And so I decided to do this, took a leap of faith, and had a lot of hopes for it. Now, I will say, like, the experience itself, if you haven't seen the video, go back and watch it. But I would say that the experience was very profound for me. It actually confirmed a lot of the things that I felt like I already knew about spirituality and I guess my place in the universe. And that was a really nice confirmation to receive, to know that we are greater than just this physical flesh, to know that there is something bigger than us. So it kind of answered a lot of those questions that I had. I felt a deep, deep connection to everything around me. I felt like I had tapped into a place of just peace and infinite possibilities, and it was just so beautiful. Right after the trip, I was on cloud nine. I felt bliss. All of my anxiety was gone. I felt hopeful. I was looking to get into a new career path, which was real estate, and I had gotten to the point where I took the real estate classes and was trying to muster the courage to take the test. I had taken the test one time and failed, and was feeling a little discouraged with myself. And after I did the mushrooms, I realized that there was nothing that I could not do. It was just about focusing, staying focused, and I realized your patterns that we live by on a day-to-day basis pretty much determine our future and determine a lot about ourselves. And realizing that the patterns I had been living up until that point hadn't necessarily been super helpful. So it helped me step outside of that limited perspective that I was in. And after I finished my trip, I actually went and took the test, just kind of like on the spur of the moment. And taking all of that wisdom that I learned or that I had acquired from my trip with me into that testing room, and I actually passed and received my real estate license, and I felt like a whole new doorway had opened. Not to say that the mushrooms are like a miracle cure, but I think it helps you tap into something deeper than yourself. And I think it really broke those patterns that I had been living out that had caused a lot of the depression, a lot of the angst and hopelessness um, that I had been feeling. So it really helped me out in a big way in that sense. Um, I can't lie and say that everything has just been amazing since the trip. I still have issues with anxiety. I will say, like, over time, my social anxiety has cleared up. Someone did kind of give me an analogy of how psychedelics work, that you could imagine psychedelics being like a snow globe, and you shake the snow globe, and everything's blurry, you can't see anything, nothing's clear. And after time, as you know, the particles settle, everything starts to become clearer. And I guess you could say that's been my journey so far. It's definitely been a lot of ups and downs. I've still really had some difficult moments, still dealt with depression and all of that. And the thing, I think it's important to realize that it's not going to be a magical fix all pill or cure for anything that you're experiencing, but it can offer you a different perspective, and it can break up those patterns that you may have been living out that aren't necessarily helpful. But it's up to you really to give your trip the meaning that you want it to have. Um, it's just an experience at the end of the day, and it's going to be about what you attach to that experience. And if you're looking to go into it to solve all of your problems, I don't think that's the way to go. I like to look at this as a long-term process, something that you grow into, and you learn more about yourself, and you gather the courage to actually face and confront life versus hiding or avoiding it, or just using your same coping mechanisms that maybe aren't healthy, maybe addictions or distractions or just whatever it could be. Um, just learning to sit still with yourself, learning what triggers you and why it triggers you, going deep into your history and your past and figuring out what makes you who you are today. Why do you do the things you do? Why are you the person that you are? Why are you in the current circumstance that you're in right now? And those are all important questions to ask. I think that's what psychedelics do. It makes you ask bigger, deeper questions instead of just acting on autopilot and just living your day the same as you always have and not questioning anything. So I would say that's definitely my biggest takeaway. Still a process. I am by no means a spiritual expert. I will say I have had some other experiences since that trip. So it's not just the psilocybin trip that I discussed in my previous video. I've done ayahuasca and I have had another psilocybin trip as well. And I will talk about those in another video. And those were definitely unique experiences of their own as well. But all in all, in summary, I would say it's not a magic quick fix. It's not a magical pill. It's not going to solve all your problems overnight, but it will help you along the way. It can give you a little boost. It can help you look at yourself differently. And I'm not going to lie, things may actually get a little bit more difficult after you do it, because now you have all of this material that comes to the surface that you haven't acknowledged before, and now you have to work through it. And that's the most important part of your trip, is your integration process and figuring out what it all means and putting the pieces back together. That's very important. So I hope that was informative or helpful at least. Please let me know any of your thoughts down below, and if there's any other video topics that you want me to speak on, I will make a video about my experience with ayahuasca and then my other psilocybin trip. And I also have been working with, or I in the past was working with, a psychedelic therapist who was kind of helping me put the pieces together, because I was having a hard time at one point. So I plan on going into all of that. This is just a warm-up video. So let me know your thoughts down below. Please subscribe to the channel so you can receive updates of when I do post. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.